Companies at any stage are at a creation phase, at an acceleration growth phase, or at a succession or transition phase. A company is no different than a human. They go through these phases of growth, evolution, maturity, and decline. Happens to humans, happens to companies. What we are doing to provide strategies at the right time, at the right place, to unlock what we call the quantum of principles of strategy. So they apply some frameworks. For example, in strategy, we walk through what is your value proposition, what is your key differentiator, what is your value creation process, and how are you capturing that value to give it to your customers. What are the various choices you're making to enable that execution, rather than, to your point, doing a random execution and reacting to the market, but you have a thoughtful play. What are the adaptable things you have made room for maneuvering if changes happen in those choices. But most importantly, and if you abstract strategy into one line, we teach in Magna the focus to say no to things that will distract you, and the discipline to do things that you must do to propel forward. So that's what we cover in the strategy workshop. If your clone was in this very room, uh, how would you let others know what's the difference between you and the original? Who's the original? What would you do in your behaviors, in your actions, in your visible demonstration that you are the original and the other one is the clone? Startups, enterprises, entrepreneurs, products, solutions suffer from this clone challenge every day in the industry. Today, what we're going to do is unlock the Magna strategy on identifying what you can do so that your value resonates best with the marketplace and keeps you one click ahead and keeps everyone behind in terms of the flow of what a strategy looks like. So what we're going to do next is answer this question. So if you look at the market research on companies across any shape and any scale, Gartner has done a recent study and said, where are the executives focused on? Number one on the chart is growth. Growth is always on the top of their minds. If you see, before they're adding to their solutions, before they're adding value to their solutions, scaling and growth is their number one priority. Now, given that priority across from CFOs to CEOs, an organization without strategy is just guessing. So let's get to some frameworks on how to remove the guesswork out of the equation and give you those frameworks next on what a strategy would look like. At a very foundational level, let's basically create the quantum of a company itself. This Magna triangle starts with the left on the business DNA of customer needs first to the left, and then you go on. Once you identify the customer needs, goals, and ambitions, how do you add value on the terms of the customer? Once you've identified the needs and the way for you to deliver value, you go to the channels in which you deliver that value in a way that the customer finds it most efficient. Then you have this most important challenge of how to price this. This is also a strategy, right? How do you price your product in a way that you can make profit? Because if you do not make a pricing strategy up front, you may be scaling your product too fast and end up delivering the product with no profit, resulting in a pretty tough situation as we get to scale. And as you manage this mission and get to your meaning, we will unlock the business DNA and answer the fundamental question of, next we'll go and say, what is the strategy looking like? Because without strategy, if you think about it, all your activity across sales, ops, marketing, and every other organization technology is going to be at best random and at better just a speculation. We want to make sure that we give you some toolkits, some frameworks to execute them next. So let's go and say, yes, you do have a strategy. Yes, it's formulated. How many people in your company actually know the strategy? Without communicating that strategy to your team, you would be sitting in the executive things assuming that they all know, which could be fairly, another risk is strategy formulation and strategy communication. So let's look at what should you do next on why communication to the teams is very important. You might have seasoned employees who have been around for a while, and you may have new employees who have no idea that the company's strategy is in place, but it's only visible to the top floor, not the shop floor. Let's look at that and proceed to What exactly is strategy? It is simply the choices that you are making and how you're communicating first to your team, then to your market, then to your ecosystem in that order. If these three things don't happen on a constant basis, you will be left in the dust from not using the levers that are making you move at the pace that is rapid in the marketplace right now. So let's move on to the simplest question, which is a self introspective question for an organization. What kind of company are you? Are you a company that's doing a few things for many? Let's take a luxury market. If you are a product that does a few things to many people, many things to few people, or many things to many people, that is going to decide what kind of price range are you going to apply to your product. If you're selling a low price product and offering to many people, you are working on a commodity price pressure. If you are offering a very exclusive, unique customer experience, luxury goods for example, you're offering many things but for very few people. The way you deliver significantly changes depending on the strategy you adopt for stepping back and looking at your company right now and saying, how many customers do I have? Am I doing a lot of things for few of them? Am I doing a few things for many of them? Or am I scattered and doing many for many? That's a question you should ask yourself as you think through strategy.